What's up guys, it's Cam coming at you from the 2-6. Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. So yeah, it's gonna be a little while before it's officially fall. Like I have mentioned before, we don't really get into like actual cooler weather till late October, early November. So I've been, kind of sniffing around wanting to see what I'm gonna dive into first when it's, appropriate to wear, slightly richer fragrances. I guess some of these would be full-on cooler weather, and then some of these are kind of transitional fragrances as you're, getting into changing from all the bright bergamots and lemons into the patchoulis and the ouds and the tobaccos and all that good stuff. Without no further ado, let's get into this. So being that I haven't really been wearing these, this is not going to be like a top 10 where it's, 10 to 1. These are just like, I was, yeah, I want that, I want that, I'm gonna wear that, I'm gonna wear that, I'm wearing that. So I wasn't like overly excited about one more than the other. These are all ones that I'm very much looking forward to wearing when it cools off. So one of the first ones that I grabbed is a very classy, seductive, mysterious fragrance that, if you just put your nose to it like this, you probably wouldn't know whether to make heads or tails if you liked it or not until you smelled it in the air or you got paid a ridiculous compliment. And yes, it is by Kilian Gold Night. You guys know that I have like a love affair with this fragrance, and for good reason. I mean, it's just a really upscale, sexy fragrance. The note that you're gonna get right off the cuff that just really makes this different is anise. So you've got a little bit of anise mixed with some bergamot, some honey, some patchouli, and some vanilla. And I don't know what it is about, the Kilian fragrances when they go doing stuff that's in the Gourmand territories, and like nobody does sexy like Kilian, if you ask me. And this is gonna be one that is going to be very unique if you want to wear something that's thinking outside the box a little bit but is very sexy. Gold Night. So how about an oud fragrance? How about a gourmand oud? And it's not overly animalic on that oud, and it's not overly cloyingly sweet. And I am talking about Robert Piguet's Oud de Lis. This fragrance is just underrated as all get out. I don't think I've heard anyone. That doesn't mean that nobody has. I just haven't heard anybody talk about it. So in case you haven't seen the Robert Piguet bottles, it looks like that right there. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just pretty much black, and like all their bottles look like this. I've seen several of their fragrances. I've actually had some of these in the past. Now, those of you who have been with me for a very long time, you saw that I had like the big joint with the puffer and all that. So yeah, I had to downsize to this because that other one didn't actually belong to me. This one does. But if you want something that is very, very wearable, sexy, compliment garnering, yeah, this is gonna fall right in that. You don't think gourmand and oud together, but again, another fragrance is thinking outside the box. So to give it that gourmand vibe, you've got some caramelized amber, and of course you're gonna have the oud, and you also have some Haitian vetiver and some patchouli. So this has above average performance and longevity. It will actually last pretty much all day, at least a good 10, 11 hours of performance. There's just something about this fragrance, and I think that's going to be kind of the theme for the most part. These are unique fragrances that I really enjoy wearing. Now the next fragrance probably won't surprise any of you because I know a bunch of you guys that love this fragrance. It is 1821 Man-Made Sweet Tobacco Spirits. And I actually heard, I now haven't been able to confirm it, but it did come from an extremely reliable resource that as of the day that this is being filmed, they have not yet released any more fragrances, but they've got some more fragrances coming out at 1821. Now they've got a lot of grooming products, pomade, body wash, candles, all kinds of good stuff, and it all smells like this delicious, it's basically like a vanilla tobacco fragrance that has like some saffron, tonka bean, and dried fruits. So this is an excellent tobacco fragrance. Not super expensive, smells like extremely niche. This is actually one of my absolute favorite tobacco fragrances. It's just really you know, is strong, but without like punching you in the face being strong. It's just like, it really surrounds you. It lasts all day. You can tell it's high quality. And just smelling it, like holding the cap, yeah, man, I can't wait to dive into this one. And yeah, of course, there's gonna be some repeating notes. Of course, you guys know how I roll, you know, with the tobacco and the booze and the vanillas and all that good stuff. So of course, we're gonna have to break out the Jazz Club. And of course, this is pretty much, I just basically almost named the notes for this. Of course, you've got your pink pepper and the top notes of this mixed with your vanilla and your rum and tobacco. Just a very well put together fragrance. Yeah, man, good lordy, lordy, lordy. This is a total banger. Now, this is actually like that date night fragrance. You know, in the fall, you get one of those cool nights, especially, you know, like you're going somewhere, you know, starting to get cold. And of course, like, I don't know about you guys or you gals, are you gals cold-blooded? And I don't mean like cold-blooded in the heart, I just mean like cold-natured. I guess that'd be, we're not reptiles, so I guess that'd be lame to say cold-blooded. But I know some of y'all cold-blooded. Some of us dudes are too, but I'm hot-natured as hell. And every girl that I've ever dated is just like, okay, let me light a fire, let me put a heating blanket on, and you know, like 20 blankets, and I'm over like kicking the sheets off going, you're killing me. So yeah, make sure that you've got the ice bags around, that way you can cool off, because yeah, you were at that Jazz Club, she's probably gonna want to get it hot in the bedroom. The next fragrance that I picked is one that I actually like got right as the cold weather was out of here. And I haven't had a chance to, I did mention it on another review. It was just because I was comparing another fragrance that was similar to it. I'm talking about Byredo 11th Hour. Now, it was the Moschino Toy Boy that had some similarities to this fragrance. Now, they did, you know, in the end veer in different directions, but there were some similarities that made me think of this fragrance when I smelled that. So the main thing that I get from this is like a spicy fig, and you also have like cashmere wood in here. And it also has a really nice note of tonka bean. I mean, there's more notes in here, but primarily it's just like spicy fig, cashmere wood, and tonka bean. That's primarily what I get. But it is a really good fragrance that, like, once you spray it on, it's got something that keeps pulling you back, wanting you to make you smell it more and more and more. And I'm really looking forward to getting some full wearings out of this. I actually got a sample of this from Twisted Lily when it went out of business. I bought some other fragrances and they sent me a sample of that. So I was like, yeah, I gotta cop that. And I found a good deal on this. Definitely need to check this one out if you haven't. Now, it was a real chore for me to pick, like, because I didn't want to come out here with like 10 Tom Ford private blend fragrances, which I very well could have easily done. Now, before I get into which one I picked, this fragrance just will always make me think of the fall, because the last time we had a major hurricane come through where we were severely affected with flooding and power loss, trees down, you know, there was some like extreme damage, especially closer to the coast. But in preparation of all that, we pretty much knew that we would be without power. So, and we were out of power for a minute. I mean, there was some of us were out of power for 2 weeks. I think for me, it was like 8 days. But in preparation of that, me, my ex-wife, my ex-mother-in-law, and my son all stayed together in one house and got a big generator. And when I finally could go get some more gas, we had stocked up a bunch of gas and propane. We were bound there. That's where we were. We were completely surrounded by water. But once the water had receded enough, because we needed to go get more gasoline for the generator, I stopped by my house to grab some fragrances. Then I realized when I got back that I had stuck plum japonese in there the whole time. So we were still stuck there for a while, but I could have been wearing this the entire time. But for the rest of the duration, even though I brought other fragrances to take back with me and went and checked on my house to make sure that it was still, you know, on top of the ground instead of underwater, I just went straight to wearing this. So every time I smell this, it makes me think about fall, hurricane seasons and all that. But at the same time, this is like a really delectable, sexy, gourmandy type, just such goodness. If you're a plum fan, ooh, hold on to your lug nuts, because this is like one of the absolute best plum fragrances. It has a Japanese plum note with some saffron, cinnamon, and vanilla. So just wrap your head around that. Yeah, if you have not smelled this, and I have talked to a lot of people who have never bothered smelling it, because some people say that it's like a woman's fragrance. It might be. It smells good on me. Yeah, and I think I'm pretty darn sure like all the private blends are unisex. So just depends on what you like. But if you like plum, you need to at least try this. But it smells hella good on me. I find it to be masculine, especially, you walk in with swagger, it's a wrap. Now, one thing that I did over the summer, there was one day where I actually kind of fixed my fragrances, kind of got them all reorganized, got them set by brands, and actually kind of condensed it, because when I first moved in this house where I'm living now, I've only been in this house for a year, and when I moved in, I wanted everything kind of spread out so it just looked like a bunch. Now I'm like, I need that extra space, so I have them like lying down. So like all my creeds go straight down, all my Killians go straight down, as opposed to like going all the way across, making it look like you're, big baller. I ain't trying to impress nobody, I just got what I got. But in the process of that, I actually overlooked this fragrance last year. I think like altogether it's Ajmal Amber Wood. Now this is one that you definitely need to check out. This is it's kind of a simple fragrance, but at the same time, sometimes less is more, and that is the case for this. I really, really, really dig this fragrance. Now the main thing that you're gonna get in this obviously is amber wood. Then you're gonna get some spice from that cardamom, and it has a really nice apple note in here. So the star of the show is going to be the amber with that cardamom mixed with the apple. It's just really good. Like I said, just simplistic, but really good. Now, if I did have any complaint about this, I thought that it might perform a little bit longer with that type of note breakdown, because it does come off kind of dark. I'm not saying it has like bad performance. I figured something like this might have, a good 11, 12 hours. For me, maybe 7.5, maybe 8. And of course, spray it on your clothes, you'll get some more performance. But definitely worth it, because it just smells so freaking good. And this is another fragrance that has hardly been talked about at all. Now, another thing that I've been doing this summer, obviously I have been trying to bulk up my fresh fragrances, but I've also went back and scooped stuff up that I either traded because I wasn't wearing, or when you're constantly having to buy and put stuff in and out of rotation, you wind up trading things that you probably wish that you didn't trade, or selling something you wish you didn't sell. So this fragrance is one that I had to recoup. It is from Parfum de Nicolai. This one is called Curcuba. Now, it's actually Curcuba Intense, excuse me. But this is a very, very unique tobacco fragrance. Everything that, like the notes that are listed, you pretty much almost can like pull each thing out. This one also has some star anise. It has licorice as a note. Like when I was reading the notes for this, because I had a friend that was telling me like, dude, this is a banger. I was like, licorice for real? But yeah. I mean, like, especially like licorice and tobacco, whatever. So yeah, it's licorice, star anise, tobacco. Then another one that kind of threw me a curveball was magnolia. And yeah, you get that too. And there's also some lemon in the very top. So you got the lemon, you got the star anise, and you definitely get that right out the gates. And then it's the licorice kind of pokes its head out. And then as it's starting to dry down the mids is when that magnolia starts coming out, and it is a very wearable magnolia. Now, I don't have a ton of fragrances that have magnolia or have smelled a lot of magnolia fragrances that work for me. Now, like you guys know that I love me some Mojave Ghost that has a great note of magnolia, and this one is absolutely fantastic. And of course, the tobacco in here is going to smell more like a humidor that's, it almost has that kind of that wet tobacco smell, like, I don't know if you guys have ever smelled in a humidor or whatever, where they keep cigars. If you've ever been to a cigar shop, that's what this smells like to me. It is a very rich and unique fragrance that is absolutely to die for. And again, extremely unique. Now, what was really amazing for me was the story to this fragrance. Before I even knew anything about the story of this fragrance, I had already developed one for myself. I used to have me a 67 Mustang. Some of you guys know that. It had a Hearst speed shifter, a 3-speed shifter in there with a Holly 4-barrel, and it's just like all muscle, just a complete total muscle car. But I used to love just getting on that thing, and it's like in the fall, have the radio turned up, windows down. You go down an old country road, you look in the rearview mirror when you're hauling buggy with the leaves flying up behind the car. That was actually what came to mind when I first heard or smelled clutch. And of course, that story went with me because I was thinking about shifting gears. And then lo and behold, this is from Perfumology and the story that Near Guy put with this fragrance, because all of Perfumology's fragrances have a story attached that goes with like Near Guy's, like hanging out when he was younger, driving a Jeep, I think was the case for this, where it was driving a Mustang for me. But the notes are, emulating that. Now it's got a really amazing top note of ginger. That's the first thing that you're going to get. And I think as it says, as you're describing, it's talking about then shifting gears into like the next thing. I know that another note is like red cedar in here, but the ginger in here, it's fire. It's so good. But the way that these notes are developed, it really almost comes off like a boozy fragrance, but that's great. That works fantastic for me. I find this fragrance similar. Now, I'm not saying it smells like, but it's very similar to the type of fragrance that single malt would be. So if you like single malt from Killian, I think you need to check Clutch out. So this also has some leather, the leather seats. You got some vanilla, it has some musk, and also has a note of oak wood. So yeah, this is a really good fragrance. As a matter of fact, my friend out in Las Vegas gave me a sample of this, which prompted me to, I think the first thing I wound up with was like the 10 ml atomizer, and then I went with the 50 ml. So yeah, if you guys have not tried Clutch, this is perfect. This is actually one that I could go ahead and wear this now, because it will work in the warmer weather because it's not like super dense, but yeah, it's straight fire for sure. And last but not least, you guys know that I love this fragrance. It is from 8 & Bob. It's Nude Mijev. Yeah, I can't get enough of this one either. Such a good fragrance. If you guys have not tried this, please sample it. It's amazing, unbelievably good. You got black coffee, it's got some moss, it's got some tobacco, it's got some vetiver, a little bit of cloves, just a complete and total banger. So yeah, these are fragrances. Some of them are kind of semi-transition. Nothing there just like really overly dark or anything too much. It just depends on what your taste is, obviously. I've got some unisex stuff here, Gourmand oud, Japanese plum and all that good stuff. So if you're getting hyped and getting ready to wear these darker fragrances for fall and winter, let me know what you're most looking forward to down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite fragrance to wear in fall is. Until next time, I'll see y'all in Carolina Fragrance Reviews.